Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it's not your first time here, thanks for coming back. So today we are going to be doing the long-awaited, the much-anticipated Natasha Denona palette ranking. Well, if you knew it was coming. I did mention it in a past video, but I decided to rank all of the Natasha Denona palettes I have. I have 14 of them, and I love my Natasha Denona palettes. I think all of them are good. Even the one that's at the 14th place is still a good palette. I'm really just ranking these palettes based on my own preferences. So their color stories, how often I tend to reach for them, the looks that I get out of them, how do I like them. If I rank one of your favorite palettes in the last place, it is not a personal dig to you. I hope you can understand. If you enjoyed this video while you're watching it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'm going to link all of the palettes down below in the description box if you are interested in checking them out, as well as everything that's on my face. Let's get right to it. All right, coming in at number 14, I have the mini Metropolis. So this was her holiday release, I believe for 2021. It came with a little brush, and so I decided to pick it up. It was limited edition. It doesn't exist anymore. So I don't think this is a bad palette, like I've already said. I just don't ever reach for this. I feel like I haven't used this really since I reviewed it, whenever that was, a year and a half ago. I like the mattes. Like overall, Natasha Denona mattes are just across the board great. I haven't really ever gotten a palette where I didn't think the mattes were good quality. So I love the mattes in this. I wish this color was either slightly deeper or slightly lighter. It's really close to my skin tone. And with a palette this small, I really want to get use out of every shade, you know? So that's one thing I would change. This is broken, which alone makes me not want to reach for the palette, but listen, if you have this palette, hopefully it's not broken. So I'm going to pretend as if it's not broken. Natasha Denona has, in my opinion, a few different shimmer formulas. Some of them are really, really sparkly, not very often. Some of them are more like standard metallics. They're nice, you know, they're nothing crazy special, but they're nice. And then some metallics that I don't prefer that are kind of powdery and lackluster. This gold is a sparkly one. Like, it's very impactful, it's very pretty, but it's a gold. You know, I have a million of these in my collection. And this shade here is kind of what really turns it for me. This shade, this dark, deep green with a blue undertone, is not my favorite shade to wear. I will hardly ever reach for a shade like that. I'm more likely to reach for it if it's a matte, but a shimmer like this, it's just not my preference. And this isn't like a super sparkly one. It's one of those standard metallics. So this just, color story wise, the fact that it's broken, which I'm discounting, it's just not something I reach for, but it's a good palette. This is a shock to me, okay? Because coming in at number 13, I have the Biba palette. Okay, let me explain. Don't unsubscribe, okay? So first of all, this is the $129 price point. She's expensive. Now, I didn't pay that. I had a gift card and this was on sale. I think I paid $10, something like that, $5, $10, somewhere in that range. So for that price, it's worth it. For $129, I don't think it's worth it for me personally. So the mattes in this, stunning. No complaints at all. They're wonderful. It's all neutrals, and I love that there's different types of neutrals, true neutrals, warm neutrals, cool tone neutrals, so you're getting variety in this, which I appreciate, love. I would change this out, like I said, for either a lighter matte or slightly deeper, because it is pretty close to my skin tone. The cream to powders and the shimmers in this, I don't love. I don't really love these shimmers. These are the shimmers that I feel like aren't very shiny. They're kind of thicker on the eye. They don't give me that va-va-voom, that bam. They're just, you know? And for $129, I want to love every shade. The cream to powders, you know, maybe it's just me, but I really don't like the cream to powder formula from Natasha Denona. Like, I can't figure out how to use it. If I try to blend it, I get tons of fallout. I've tried to use this black as an eyeliner, tons of fallout, and not just upon application, like throughout the day. And then I did film this video this morning, okay? And I forgot a palette in the ranking. And this was much higher up, but I did a look with this. I used Tor, which is a cream to powder gray, and I put it all over my lid. I wore an eye primer and I just kind of packed it on my lid because I feel like that's the best way I'm finding to use these cream to powder shades so they don't get fallout. Within a couple of hours, it was almost completely gone from my eyelid, and B, what was left was so creased. And I don't have a problem with creasing. I hardly ever get creasing. It just looked terrible. Like if I was out somewhere at a special event, I would feel really self-conscious about my makeup. Like luckily I wasn't really doing much of anything, but if you enjoy the cream to powder, let me know how you use it, how you enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, for me, the only real thing that I would really ever reach back into this for are the mattes. And for $129 to only use 50% of the palette, I don't think it's worth it. So maybe it was just a little too hyped up in my mind, but yeah, I had to be honest with you. I know a lot of people love this palette, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. Coming in at number 12, I have the mini Lila palette. I like this palette. I think it's super cute. I love purple. So this side of the palette, I love neutrals, so I love this. I don't really reach for this palette very often. I can't say that I've used it in a really long time, and I enjoy the looks I get from it, but they're nothing spectacular, they're nothing special, but I do like this palette. I really like this shade here. It's more of a smooth looking, like duochrome blue to purple, not super strong shifting, but there is a little bit of a shift in there. And I like this shade. It's more of that standard metallic where it's got some shine to it. It's nothing crazy special, but this is a really nice mini palette. I really like it. And I love her mini palettes. Overall, they are my favorite and preferred palettes from Natasha Denona. Coming in at number 11, I have the Love palette, the midi size Love. I didn't buy this when it came out. I bought it about a year later when it was 50% off. I really like the mattes. I'm gonna be saying that over and over again because I love the mattes. They're blendable, they're pigmented, they're beautiful. I really enjoyed using like these pinky mattes around Valentine's Day. The shimmers in this, they're nice, they're good shimmers, but if I have like a colorful shimmer like a pink, like a purple, like a silver, I want it to be super impactful. And again, this is just a preference thing. It's just what I like. I prefer it to be really impactful if I'm gonna have a colorful shimmer. So I just felt like I was wanting more when I would create looks with the shimmers, but the mattes are beautiful. The other thing is this color story is interesting and nice, but I feel sometimes a little intimidating looking at this color story. I have rearranged the pans before and that did help me out a lot, so it's a good palette. I like it. I just like other things more. Coming in at number 10, this is another one that's a lot of people's favorite Natasha Denona palette. This is the Glam palette. Oh, I held it upside down. This is the Glam palette. This is a really pretty cool tone neutral color story. If you like cool tones and you like softer looks, you like shimmers that aren't super sparkly, I think you would like this. The mattes are really beautiful, blendable. I like the variety of mattes. They go from light to deep with everything in between, really good gradient. The shimmers are also really good in terms of colors. Like I feel like there's a variety. There are a couple that look kind of similar on the eyes, but I think overall there is a good selection of metallics. But again, I feel like these metallics are just okay. Like they're just that standard metallic. I would have liked to have a little bit more sparkle in here, even if just a couple of them were that little sparkly type of formula. I love variety. Like I love having different textures in a palette. So if a few of these shimmers were that sparkly formula, I think I would have put it up higher, but it's a good palette. It's nice. It's pretty. I just don't typically reach for a cool tone color story. Like it's not my first choice. Coming in at number 9, I have the mini Gold palette. I like this. I think it's super pretty. It's a little more interesting than some other palettes I've talked about. And this gold is really pretty. It is more of that sparkly, special. It's like a gold with a green in there as well. It's really pretty. I really, really like this shade. I also love having an olive green matte. I think that's really, really fun. The thing I would change about this is this metallic here. This is more of the kind of satin type of formula. There's really no shine, hardly any shine to it at all. I wish that that was a matte, like that same color, but a matte. And I like the looks I've gotten out of this. They're really pretty, but I just have other ones that I like more. Coming in at number 8, I have the mini Biba palette. This is beautiful. I did use this the other day. I hadn't used it in a while and I really enjoyed it. I love this color story. It's neutral with like a slight rosy undertone. You can get a full look with this because of that gradient of the mattes, light to deep. This shimmer is really pretty. It's more of that textured, a little bit more oomphy type of metallic, which I prefer. The only thing I would change is this cream to powder. I wish it was maybe a very, very, very light, either matte shade or a very light shimmer shade for the inner corner. Other than that, this is a great palette, and I think if you like these tones, this is great for just throwing in your makeup bag, for traveling, for using as a companion palette, or like I said, it does create its own look as it is. So this one's a really good neutral palette. Coming in at number 7, this is my newest Natasha Denona palette to my collection, and it's the bronze, the midi bronze. I've fully enjoyed the looks that I've gotten out of this palette. I think they're so beautiful. I'm a warm tone neutral lover. Like, that is where my heart is. I'm back in 2016, 2017. I'm all about a warm tone neutral eye, and I love the looks that I've been getting out of this. Now, it's not a perfect palette to me. There are things I would change because obviously it would be at number 1. I wish that this black cream to powder was just a matte. That would be great. And then there are a lot of shimmers in here. I prefer a more matte heavy palette or half and half. There's a lot more shimmers, and a lot of these shimmers look very similar. Very, very similar, especially on the eyes. You know, whenever I create a look with this palette, even when I use different shades, they kind of look the same. Now that look is beautiful, so I am not complaining. But if you like a warm tone neutral look, this is a nice one. And you like shimmers, this is a nice one. I just would prefer more mattes and maybe some more variety with the shimmers. Coming in at number 6 is the condensed down version of that, the mini bronze. So I'm happy to reach for this because I feel like I can get that same look I get with this, and it's much smaller. I love the gradient of the mattes. I love that it's matte heavy, although I do wish that one of these mattes was a shimmer. Like, taking this one out and putting a very light shimmer would be great, something for my inner corner. The quality of both the mattes and the shimmers is great. This is that more like metallic, I wouldn't say sparkly, but definitely very foiled metallic, which I love. It's so beautiful all over the lid. Like I said, I just wish there was something for my inner corner. Other than that, I like that it's a condensed form of the bronze palette, and I love a warm tone neutral look, as I've already said. Okay, we're in the top 5. So the top 5, honestly, I have nothing bad to say about them. It was just a matter of which one I like more than the other, and this was hard. This was hard, but honestly, there's nothing I would change about these 5 palettes. So coming in at number 5, I have the Mini Love. For the longest time, this was my favorite Natasha Denona palette, but I have some other ones that I acquired in the past year or so that bumped this one down to number 5, but still, this is a great mini palette, great mini palette. I thought that this was not available anymore, but it actually is still available. I did find it somewhere online. Of course, I will link it down below. This is one of those mini palettes that I feel like there's a complete look in this using all 5 shades. You have a transition shade, you have a deepening shade, you have an inner corner shade, you have a lid shade, and then this one is an extra, like that special sparkly formula that you could either just kind of lightly tap over to make it a topper, or you can use it as a lid shade, and it is stunning. It has a slight shift, like pink to gold. Really special, beautiful shade. Not many of her palettes have them, and I prefer this one, obviously, over the Midi Love. It's more pinky purple. The looks that I've gotten out of this, I think, are just absolutely beautiful. And it is colorful, but it's not like over the top colorful. Me as a neutral lover, I really enjoy using these colors. I love purples. I've already said it. Coming in at number 4, I have the Glam Face Palette. Now, I am only counting the eyeshadows. I'm not talking about the cheek products because obviously this is an eyeshadow palette ranking, but I had to include this because these eyeshadows, so good. The mattes, pigmented, blendable, yada, 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 we get it. And I like that there's 3 depths. They're really beautiful. These shimmers are the most spectacular shimmers, I think, that she's done. They're extra sparkly, beautiful, just beautiful, like wet looking, foiled. They're special. They're something special. That's all I can say. These are the shades that are really bumping it up for me because they are very, very beautiful and different. Different than what's most of the time in her palettes. So I really, really enjoy these eyeshadows. All right, we're in the top 3 now. These are obviously my favorites. I love them all dearly. Every time I've worn these 3 palettes, I've been just astounded with how my looks are, honestly. So coming in at number 3, I have the Mini Nude. And you may look at this and go, Rachel, it's just a normal neutral palette. No, it's not. There is something special about the looks I've gotten from this. Every time I wear it, I'm like, wow, I just look like effortless, how come I can't say it? Effortlessly glam and beautiful. I plan to wear this on my wedding day. I'm pretty sure that that's what's gonna happen because I just feel so beautiful in this palette. I wouldn't change anything about it. All the shades are beautiful. They all serve a purpose. They all have a place, and it's at number 3. The top 2 palettes, honestly, I had such a hard time deciding which one was gonna be first and which one was gonna be second. So, and I feel like really they're interchangeable. You could ask me a week from now and I might flip them, you know, just depending on the moment. So they're really both very, very, very good. So coming in at number 2, I have the Mini Star. You guys, I can't. This is an interesting neutral palette. There is just some like je ne sais quoi, like some little unexplainable little thing that makes this so special. The 2 mattes are perfection. They're true neutrals. Like they're not warm, they're not cool, true neutrals. And this one even has a slight green undertone. I love this olive green metallic. I love this more like neutral bronze, like not coppery, but neutral bronze. And then the blue to brown duochrome. It's smooth. It's really pretty. Adds a little interest. I love smudging this on my lower lash line. The looks, again, that I've gotten from this, I've really just felt so beautiful. They're interesting. They're different. Still neutral, but just interesting neutrals. Love. And then coming in at number 1, can I get a drum roll, please? I have the My Dream palette. If you've been here before, you know I love this palette. I did vote this as my favorite palette that came out last year. This palette is just everything I want in a palette. It really is. Dark to light, neutrals, warm tones, some cool tones, purples. We've got a dark black matte, finally. We've got really good neutral mattes. We've got fun shimmers. We have this Invention shade, which is that sparkly special, like the Glam Face palette. The shimmers in that's what this is. We've got more of like a satin shade. So I've got some variety. And there's a duochrome that goes from like purple to green. Really, really beautiful. I love that she added that. I think it adds something to the palette. I just love this palette so much. I think it's so, so beautiful. And I will say, there are 2 creamed powders in this, and I don't really have a problem with these ones. I don't find that they were hard to work with. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the colors of them. But every single shade in here, I will use. Every single shade, I really, really enjoy. And that's important to me if I'm spending $69 on a palette. I want to love every shade. So this is my number 1 palette. All right, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite Natasha Denona palette is. And if you've never tried Natasha Denona, what palette would you pick up first if you were gonna buy from the brand? I really love hearing from you down in the comments. And do you want me to do this with any other brand? There are some other brands that I am kind of in the works of collecting my thoughts so I can rank the palettes. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly, both beauty and fashion videos, and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.